Hey, Doc Sam Robbins. Today's going to be one of those important videos, especially if you're concerned about cancer. You know someone who's had cancer in your life. I have on both my sides of the family, and I know how devastating it can be. It's one of those things that affects young people, old people, it doesn't matter. And it's something you almost can't prevent because you're thinking, hey, I'm eating well, I'm not smoking, that's no heart attack, no stroke. It's one of those things that even young people get. Now, I'm watching this one of my favorite, shows on YouTube. It's by Diary of CEO with Stephen Bartlett. This one has Dr. William Lee on it, and he talks about how literally prevent cancer, starve it, even reverse stage 4 cancer to stage 0. I thought it was a great podcast. It's over 2 hours, and I listen to that stuff at like 2.5 times speed now. However, I thought, why don't I see if you guys like it if I just summarize the whole video, the whole podcast for you if you don't want to listen to 2 hours of it, and I'll give you basically the Cliff's Notes version of it so you can learn from it and take action on it and apply it to your own life. I'll give you the link to the video, and I'll give you a downloadable PDF version of it so you can just have quick reference. Again, I urge you, if you have the time and desire, go watch the whole 2 hour thing. But if you don't, let's just watch the short version of it. I'll give you all the key benefits. Take action. So let's get started. All right, let's first start with some of the key concepts. Basically, every day your body makes 10,000 genetic mistakes, basically these tiny little cancers. Now, most never grow, these cancers never grow to anything because your immune system, your blood vessels, and gut bacteria are all building these defenses, right? Diseases like, cancer and dementia and diabetes occur when those defenses weaken. Again, that's why staying healthy is so important, managing stress levels, eating well, because all those increases your defense mechanism. And this is why they say eat well and take your vitamins and all those things. First, let's talk about 5 natural health defense systems. All right, first of all, you have the angiogenesis and controls blood vessel growth. You also have your immune system, obviously detects and kills, threats. You also have the microbiome, which ensures it's very popular. This is basically your gut bacteria. It influences your metabolism and your immunity. You have your DNA protection that repairs genetic mistakes. Like I said, there's 10,000 of these mistakes being made every day. And then you have your regeneration system, your stem cells. This rebuilds damaged tissues. If you don't recall, 5 years ago, I went and spent over $30,000 and went to Panama and did stem cells, which I'm going to do again soon. If you're interested, let me know. But again, I did all these things to improve my immune system, repairing and stay youthful. Now, let's go to the next section. What lowers your defense system? Basically lowers those shields, all right? First, processed foods, all right? You already know it's junk, especially deli meats and fast foods. This is junk. Stay as natural as possible. Um, Added sugars. That because these cause metabolic chaos, this and that. Blood sugar really, really, really is important because it helps reduce inflammation. Now let's go to the next thing. Excess salt, that basically damages blood vessels. Normally eating salt is fine, but you just have to watch out with all the extra salt that is in the processed foods, right? Like deli meats have so much, for example, all the chips and all that. That's the main problem with salt. Alcohol, sorry to say, man, it's a universal toxin, all right? Head to toe, inside and out. There's no healthy ethanol alcohol. Stress is obviously another immune suppressant because it suppresses your immunity, disrupts sleep, and damages your DNA. Poor sleep, y'all know it. This is because your sleep, uh, when you don't sleep well, toxins build up in your brain, and so forth. And obviously, the last one is the microplastics. All right, this is from packaging and tea bags and food containers and all these things. And I'll make a video for microplastics soon. Let me know if you want in the description and the comments below. Super important, but I'll do that in the next one. Now, what boosts your defense and basically puts up a shield? Basically, let's talk about food as medicine, right? All science backed. The first one he mentions is matcha tea that kills breast cancer stem cells. Another one is purple potatoes, very hot and very popular in Japan. That kills colon cancer stem cells. Stem cells is key now. Tomatoes, especially the cooked ones, right? This is super important for guys. It can cut prostate cancer risk by 30%, almost 29%. Um, eating tea is very important. I mentioned matcha tea, but Earl tea and Earl Grey and green tea are reduce inflammation and basically starve tumors. My mom loves Earl G- or Earl Grey tea, and I drink a lot of green tea. Pomegranate and cranberries. I mentioned this before. They feed beneficial gut bacteria. They're also very good for improving blood flow. Another is dark chocolate. All right, that helps increase blood flow and recruit stem cells. Again, make sure it's like 72, 78% dark chocolate. And finally, they say he mentioned how coffee is very important because it activates fat burning of brown fat. He suggests 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day. I don't think that's good. That's my belief system. I think that's way too much caffeine. And also, if you're going to get coffee, you make sure it's organic beans and it's all roasted properly because that in of itself, you get the wrong coffee, is going to cause you way more harm than good. Now, let's talk about some superfoods they should always keep around. Mentions coffee and tea, tree nuts such as walnuts and almonds, tomatoes, especially for guys, berries, especially raspberries. And he says leafy greens such as bok choy are very good. Now, let's talk about brain health and dementia. Poor blood flow, all right, equals brain shrinkage and dementia. He also mentioned vascular health matters as much as memory. And also, eat nitric oxide boosting foods such as beets and spinach and dark chocolate. Not only is that good for your brain, it's good for us guys and erections. Let's talk about breakthrough in immunotherapy plus diet. Immunotherapy mentioned is super important. Now, he said, this is where he said that some patients can reverse stage 4 cancer to stage 0 using immunotherapy plus just healthy natural foods. Immunotherapy is super big, so hopefully you don't get cancer if you do look into that. Foods that help also pomegranates, grapes, vinegar, and chili peppers he mentions. And then gut bacteria is super important because it can predict whether immunotherapy will work. He mentioned it's called Akkermansia. That was the name of the gut bacteria. So you'll look into it again. You can get all in my downloadable PDF for you. Next thing he says, fat and fasting tips. Basically, it says visceral fat. That's a belly inside your stomach, that pregnant look, not the subcutaneous, but in the side the belly. Fuels inflammation is also linked to over 14 cancers. Not good, not good. Cold exposure and coffee can activate brown fat which burns the harmful fat. Brown fat is very different than the yellow fat that you get in your skin or your subcutaneous. The brown fat is typically found in the between your shoulder blades. Intermittent fasting, he says, is very important. Basically stop eating after dinner. He says sleep 8 hours and then don't eat anything for the first 2 hours of the day. Basically, a 12-hour fast. I'm not really a big fan of doing these 16, 18, 20-hour fasts. I think a maximum for me is 12 hours, but that's up to you. Basically, a main takeaway here, where he says, basically, you encounter these five, important foods, 5 times daily, basically, he says. So you get every chance you have to eat, you have, to fight cancer. So do the right thing. Action plan, I'll give you again, just quick. Reduce and eliminate plastics, and then switch for basically, glass and ceramic and so forth, which is what I do. Um, Again, no water bottles and so forth. Another thing is drink matcha, green tea, or coffee. Again, no plastic tea bags. He says eat tomatoes at least 2 or 3 times a week. And the important part is make sure the tomato is cooked, which is what I do. I put them in my eggs every night. Have pomegranates, nuts, and leafy greens for meals. Prioritize sleep and manage stress. I tell people all the time, sleep is so important. I know it's hard. I'm bad sleep my entire life, but prioritize sleep, avoid processed meats, excess sugar and alcohol. Also use fasting as a lifestyle, right? Basically, not as just a hack, just a regular lifestyle. He said, basically, this is something I have a problem with. He's like, don't eat anything like 3 hours before bed. I tend to eat right before bed because I get hungry. Don't eat 3 hours before bed. You don't sleep for you sleep 8 hours, then you don't eat for a couple more hours in the morning, right. So right there is 12 hours. Also take important supplements he mentioned. Vitamin D with K is super important. Fish oil is super important. Managing your blood sugar is very important. Obviously, blood pressure and cholesterol, all those things. I'll link to those below and in the description area. And prioritize your health. That's all I can say. I've had cancer in all parts of my family, young people, old people. So eat well, exercise, manage stress, take specific vitamins. I mentioned these things. Just utilize and implement just a few of them little by little. I mean, I hate for anyone to get cancer, but as he says, hey, you can even reverse stage 4 to zero. But let's just prevent even getting cancer in the first place. All right. I hope this was helpful. Let me know below. Have a great day.